Hi, I'm Sue McKenzie. This is Emily Jonesberg. We work with Rogers Behavioral Health and we're members of WISE Wisconsin. And we're sharing with you some strategies to help us remain compassion resilient during this time of the COVID-19 pandemic and lots of drivers towards potential compassion fatigue. Today we want to look at the steps of compassionate action and how we might apply them to this roller coaster of emotions and reactions that we might all be experiencing, and yet at times we're not in sync. So it can lead to some challenges to face each other with the kind of compassion that we would like to.
Yes, so we really look at how we can use steps to compassionate action in all different settings of our lives. This could be a great thing for us to engage with when we want to show a level of compassion to our friends, our coworkers, our community members. And there's a couple different steps to follow in the process. The first one is that of notice. So really, just how are we able to be present with someone to really notice their distress? And this can be hard to do. So let's say, for example, a friend reaches out to you and expresses their frustration with the pandemic, but also with the restrictions put in place and feels like it's overblown. People are overreacting and is really worried about the impact it's going to have on the economy. And at the same time, you recently found out that a family member of yours has become sick with COVID-19. So this notice stage is really about how do you hold the pain of both yourself and this friend.
Yeah, and so in that place, the first thing that you do, or the next thing that you do after you notice the pain, is to turn inward and actually do a self-check. Be aware of what your initial thoughts and feelings are. So in this case, if this was me and I had just found out about a friend of mine having the virus and hearing another person questioning why we're overreacting to things right now, I would probably turn inward and I'd realize that I was thinking, are you kidding me? Have you not heard the numbers coming out of New York? Just wait till we hear about the fact that someone close to me has now been stricken with this. And so I do that self-check not to validate my feelings, but actually to allow me to be aware of them and set them aside so that I can actually continue to be present and move on to the next step.
Yeah, and our next one is that to seek to understand. And this is really how do we become curious to really understand somebody else's perspective. And when we're using this step, we're also trying to just focus on what somebody's strengths are that they're sharing and their feelings. So for example, with this friend that's talking to us about their frustration, some feelings, certainly that of frustration and overwhelmed. Perhaps they're also kind of scared or nervous about the impact the economy is going to have on them and their loved ones. But they also have strengths in that they care about other people, they care about our society, and that they really want to see things turn out well in the end.
Yeah, and when I'm able to hear someone else's feelings, then I can begin to connect at a place of empathy. Doesn't mean I need to agree. I'm not looking to agree with the details. I'm really just trying to connect on, you know what, I've felt that frustration before. I've felt that worry before in my life. And then I can continue the conversation from that empathetic connection to move on to the really important stage of helping to find what's best action for both of us to take around this.
Yeah, and Sue, this is honestly the hardest step for me, that of discerning best action. This is all about how do we co-plan with the person that we're listening to help them figure out what their next best steps are. Because oftentimes people don't need to be told what to do. They don't need our advice. They just need us to reflect back those feelings and strengths so that they can plan out of themselves.
Yeah, so some actions that this person might take would be maybe they need to listen a little bit less to some of this if they're feeling so overwhelmed by the information that they're getting. Maybe they come up with, there's some things that I can do, even if I disagree with some of what I'm being asked to do, there's some things that I can do that help me to, match my values and action. So maybe they decide that they're going to reach out to some people who may be feeling lonely and overwhelmed by that information. And it didn't take me to give them those ideas. As we have the conversation, they'll be coming up with those ideas themselves. And then, of course, you want to take action. But what about me? I had some feelings around all this. Remember, I had just had a friend who said that they were diagnosed with COVID-19 virus. And so I have my own feelings. So oftentimes I get that question when we talk about these steps. And the reality is that if I'm able to offer compassion to my friend, if I'm able to walk through these steps, remain open, help them to address their own concerns, very likely that they are then going to be able to offer me the same thing. So rather than laying my story out initially to try to guilt them into feeling different, I'm going to hold on to that and I'm going to say, you got some time, I have some things happening. And we start down that steps to compassionate action in the opposite direction. It's really how human relationships work. So we really hope that as we think about nurturing our relationships, we're able to put these steps to compassionate action into play. And as Emily and I have talked, this physical distancing has left some challenges. But we've discovered some things too, haven't we, Emily?
Yeah, definitely. And we just have oftentimes seen people get creative. So people using video chat to connect or sending letters when they didn't before. I had a friend that just dressed up in a dinosaur costume on a random day, walked down the street, walking her dogs to smile to neighbors to bring some joy. Parades by family members or groups of community members, of course, 6 feet apart, but chances to just have fun and connect with each other in new and creative ways.
So get creative, stay connected, and practice these steps to compassionate action. Great strategies for this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. If you'd like some more resources, on the screen, there's 3 websites that offer a variety of different resources to you in this situation and in all of our lives. Thank you.